Good morning. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with us. I think right around the country our hearts are still a little bit heavy, but of course this time of year is a time where you wrap your arms around your friends and family and the people that you love, and no doubt so many of us are going to be holding each other just a little bit tighter this year as well.
And I think if anyone's going to make us feel a little bit better, Kylie releasing a Christmas song. I think well-timed, Kylie. The
exactly.
Australian pop princess.
Indeed. But first this morning, we begin in Sydney, where the final victim of the Bondi tragedy has been identified as tributes continue to pour in across the country. The spontaneous floral memorial at Bondi Pavilion will meanwhile start to be cut back from Monday.
Live to today's Sydney reporter Lauren Evans. Lauren, good morning to you. What do we know about the latest victim?
Yeah, good morning, guys. 68-year-old Tanya Tretiak, like many on Sunday night, was attending Hanukkah celebrations with her family when the shooting began. The eastern suburbs woman has been identified as the 15th and final victim of this horrific Bondi attack on Sunday night. It comes as the community continues to mourn the 15 innocent lives lost to this attack, with 4 funerals held yesterday, including for the heroic couple Sophia and Boris Gurman, who risked their own lives while trying to protect others. Of course, as the grief continues, attention is turning to reform. Premier Chris Minns says urgent changes to gun laws need to happen, and they need to happen fast. He's announced a restriction on the amount of firearms an individual can own to just 4. Take a listen.
The government will introduce a bill to impose a cap of 4 firearms per individual, with strict exemptions for primary producers and sporting shooters. The number one responsibility of any government is to protect its citizens, and it's a deep sense of responsibility that I feel that didn't happen.
Parliament has been recalled to pass the legislation before Christmas, with the changes to be debated and likely passed on Monday and Tuesday.
All right, Lauren, thank you.
And for the rest of the day's news headlines?
Well, why not?
Welcome, Sarah Stewart.
Thank you.
Your hairline looks phenomenal.
Looks great today.
Her hairline's on point.
All right, well, let's get back to the news now. We've got some serious news today. The 7 people arrested and released by counter-terrorism police in Sydney South West have said they plan to sue New South Wales Police for damages. The lawyer for the men, Ahmed Dib, says the men were unfairly targeted after their 2 cars were rammed during the arrest in Liverpool Thursday evening. The men have denied any wrongdoing and claim they were in Sydney for a holiday. Police are continuing to crack down on any suspicious behaviour as Polair helicopters become a common sight above Sydney's eastern suburbs. Operation Shelter focuses on Jewish schools, synagogues and community centres, while also keeping a close eye over the Bondi Beach area. The Victorian government has warned anyone who protests in Melbourne in the aftermath of the Bondi terror attack will be dealt with by police. Live to Today Melbourne reporter Stephanie Wacklewick. Stephanie, an anti-Zionism group plans to protest on Monday.
That's right, Sarah. The Fringe Group had actually planned to protest here on the steps of State Parliament today to demand stronger action from the federal government to combat anti-Semitism. They have decided to cancel. Instead, they will rally on Monday, a day after the National Day of Mourning. Now, we know the New South Wales government has given police extra powers to ban protests, and Premier Jacinta Allen said on Thursday Victoria already had the strongest anti-vilification laws in the country, but she would consider that ban. However, it is now looking unlikely we'll follow that ban. Former Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says it's unthinkable the Allen government won't intervene. Local Jewish leaders say this is exactly the type of protest that they've been calling for the government to stop. Sarah.
All right, thank you for the update. Nearly 100 homes in Sydney's Upper North Shore are without power as we go to air this morning. An evening of wild weather halted traffic in St Ives after a large tree branch brought down power lines on Limborough Avenue at midnight. Crews are now working to restore power. Residents across the east and west coast are in for a sweltering weekend with several heatwave alerts in place. From Western Australia to New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT, temperatures are expected to soar to the high 30s and in some inland areas 40 degrees. There are also extreme fire danger warnings in South Australia and Victoria, with fresh winds and hot weather ramping up dangerous conditions. Vladimir Putin says Russia is ready to end the war with Ukraine, but only on his terms. EU leaders have meanwhile pledged a loan of $160 billion to Ukraine to fund its military and economic efforts. Nine's Europe correspondent Mimi Becker has the details.
The country faced financial collapse, so this is a vital lifeline for Ukraine. Confirmation the European Union will lend Kyiv $160 billion. The news came after 17 hours of negotiations, with the group failing to agree to use frozen Russian assets. Volodymyr Zelensky visibly relieved.
I think that Europe showed leadership, and this is very important and tough. Strong position. Thank you that you supported us.
Now, the loan is 2/3 of what's required to keep Ukraine afloat, so they will still need to find more funds, but they will only need to pay back the loan when Russia pays reparations for the war. Meanwhile, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has held his annual end-of-year press conference. The leader spoke for 4.5 hours, and he says Russia is ready and willing to end the conflict and that the ball is entirely in the court of Western opponents. He clarified that the Kremlin also has no intention of attacking Europe. It comes as Ukraine has released footage of a drone attack on a Russian oil tanker in the Mediterranean Sea. The security service announcing the attack had happened more than 2,000 kilometres from its borders. And while the fighting continues, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has provided an update on the ongoing talks for peace.
I think we've made progress, but we have ways to go, and obviously the hardest issues are always the last issues.
Both Ukrainian and Russian officials are expected to meet their US counterparts in Miami this weekend, with European leaders hoping to rejoin the peace talks in the coming weeks.
Queensland's peak motoring body is blasting fuel companies over a festive season price hike. Live to 9 Queensland reporter Claire Toddhunter. Claire, they're describing the increase as an unjustified cash grab.
Yeah, they are, Sarah. The RACQ saying that there is absolutely no good reason for the increases that they're seeing as so close to Christmas and that it's simply unfair. A number of fuel stations have risen the price of regular unleaded to 215.9 cents a litre, which just doesn't match up with the regular fuel price cycle. That would typically last around 5 to 6 weeks, but this time it's only been 4 weeks. The RACQ accusing retailers of deliberately shortening it just so families are paying more at this time of year. Now, not every fuel station is complicit in that, though. Some are still only $1.65.9 cents a litre. That means a difference of 50 cents a litre for families if they go to the cheapest or the most expensive fuel station, and that could cost about $25 more depending on where you go. So it is important to shop around. The RACQ also saying, Sarah, that they are calling on those fuel companies that have risen the prices to bring them back down.
That'd be nice, just in time for Christmas. Thank you so much. Now, you're probably getting ready to kick your feet up and start enjoying the holiday season, but the data shows we clock off much earlier in the year. From Melbourne Cup Day in early November to Australia Day in late January, our country effectively enters a soft shutdown. But the drop in productivity may not be all bad for the economy. Experts say the surge in the hours worked before the shutdown, along with casual Christmas employment, offset the negative impacts. So while we down the tools, the economy doesn't seem to break a sweat. We are all still working, aren't we? We're here.
Work smarter, not harder. That's what I've always said. Thank you, Sarah.